How Ben Johnson was able to do what Sean McVay couldn't, and why hiring our new head coach was the most underrated move of the offseason. What's up, guys? There were some interesting tidbits that came from Netflix's new season of their popular show Quarterback. This year featured Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, and Jared Goff, but it had some interesting behind the scenes info that might interest Bears fans. Kirk Cousins let it out that if he knew the Falcons were drafting a QB in round one, he probably would have stayed in Minnesota. He also said he felt misled by the Falcons front office. Interesting stuff, but what I wanted to talk about was Ben Johnson and how he was able to get more out of Jared Goff than Sean McVay was, at least to some extent. Sean McVay went to a Super Bowl with Goff, but he was stifled by Brian Flores' defense numerous times. But one of the worst performances of Goff's career came against the Patriots and the Brian Flores coach defense in the Super Bowl. Jared Goff and Sean McVay together could only put up 3 total points. Scoring 3 points in the Super Bowl has to feel awful. And that was the beginning of the end for Goff in Los Angeles. Roughly a year after he was traded to the Lions after losing to Green Bay in the playoffs. But this is what Jared Goff did in the Super Bowl: 19 for 38, 229 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was also sacked 4 times and had a QBR of just 16.4, and he also had 8 passes deflected. This last season with Ben Johnson, though, Goff went 2-0 against the Brian Flores led Vikings defense, and they were also one of just 2 teams in the NFL that beat the Vikings in the regular season. The Vikings went 14-3 on the year, and 2 of the 3 losses came to the Detroit Lions, including a 31-9 loss in Week 18, a game where the 2 teams were battling for the NFC North Championship, and Ben Johnson was able to put on a showcase against Brian Flores. When Jared Goff had offensive genius Sean McVay calling plays, he was not able to find any success against Brian Flores. But in 2024, Ben Johnson did what Sean McVay could not. And Jared Goff talked about it. He talked about how Ben Johnson was able to help him overcome the Brian Flores defense. This isn't something I just made up. He talked about how instead of being scared of the blitz like he had in the past, they were actually begging Flores to send pressures thanks to how well he was prepared for it. Credit to Ben Johnson. And Goff's quote was, "We had a great plan. We were willing to beg them to blitz. Please bring the pressure. We'll hit something over the top." Goff also was recorded after a TD pass, walking directly over to Ben Johnson on the sideline and saying, "That was all you. That drive was all you." Clearly giving a ton of credit to his play caller and the Bears' new head coach. Goff was 22 for 25 for 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in his first meeting against Brian Flores last season. Now, Flores did respond in the final game, but Ben Johnson's game plan was simply too much for the Flores-led Vikings. Goff had his struggles, although he went 27 for 33 on the night for just 231 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. So he was picked off twice and he was sacked twice, but he managed the game and he did enough for the Lions to still dominate the Vikings 31-9. But it was Ben Johnson calling another beautiful game plan basically centered around Jahmyr Gibbs that really did it. Gibbs had 170 total yards and 4 touchdowns in this game. Goff's only touchdown pass also went to Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 3 rushing and 1 receiving touchdown. And Goff said it best himself, where earlier in his career he had struggled going against any Brian Flores coach defense. With Ben Johnson getting him comfortable and calling the plays, he was comfortable now. Ben Johnson called such beautiful game plans and he prepared him so well for Flores that Goff was no longer afraid of being blitzed. Instead, he was begging them to blitz him. This is a testament of how much of a genius Ben Johnson is, especially with the X's and O's, and it's why I'm excited to see him coach Caleb Williams. Caleb is a guy who has a lightning quick release, and he's so much more athletic, and his ceiling is so much higher than Jared Goff's. If he was able to get this out of Jared Goff, the sky is the limit for what Ben Johnson could be capable of. Caleb is a guy who can throw off platform, he can run, and he pretty much has every tool you look for in a franchise quarterback. He's one of the biggest reasons why Ben Johnson came here. Whether or not he wants to admit it to the media or not, Caleb Williams is a huge reason why Ben Johnson is our new head coach. And I'm so excited to see what these two can do in Chicago together. It's going to be so fun to watch. Another cool tidbit that came from the show, though, it came from arguably the greatest QB in NFL history, the GOAT, Tom Brady. He said himself that he would love to play for a Ben Johnson coached offense. He also had a note for the fans. He said, if you aren't having fun watching this offense, you don't have a heartbeat. Clearly, he's a guy who loves what Ben Johnson can do as a play caller. But hear him talking about how he would love to play for Ben Johnson, that one really hit home, guys. We have an elite play caller, a real offensive guru as our new head coach, and he is the guy who's going to be developing Caleb Williams. I think the Bears finally got it right, and we will see dividends of these moves starting in 2025. The rebuild is over, and the Chicago Bears are finally going to start winning games. Training camp is just around the corner, and I'm about ready to release my all 22 videos. Stay tuned. Please remember to hit that like button for me, and until next time, bear down.